Rao sir for today's session. Welcome, sir. I would like to welcome Assistant Professor of Department of and NSS Program Officer Girish K sir for today's session. Welcome, sir. Now,
Thank you.
I would like to invite our NSS volunteer Dharma Prakash to introduce the today's guest.
Good morning. I, NSS volunteer Dharma Prakash, I take immense pleasure to introduce today's resource person, Dr. Mohan K Rao sir. Dr. Mohan K Rao sir qualified MD Medicine Fellowship in Diabetes and Endocrinology in UPSW Medical Center, USA. Sir was HOD of Endocrinology Department in Rajajahari Medical College, Bengaluru. Now, Sir is a medical director and consultant in diabetes at NS Diabetes and Hormone Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Dharma Prakash. Now, I would like to request our degree principal, Dr. Bhavani MR ma'am, who is always encouraging and motivating to us to speak a few words on this World Diabetes Day. Ma'am, over to you.
I think Madam is not joined. I think I'll only speak. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, okay. I think principal will join soon due to some delay. So Madam will join later. So I am Girish, NSS Program Officer, Surana College, and today the event we want to plan and give information to all the volunteers as well as our college students. What exactly diabetic and why the youngsters are getting this disease, and what is the precaution we can take. So we need some doctor suggestions. So we thought this is the right day to give information about this program and the celebrants. So in that I welcome the doctor today, chief guest, and the doctor is going to explain all the details today. If any to a student or volunteer have a doubt, you can ask to the doctor also. And I thank my side. Thank you, sir, accepting our uh, request and you're giving me some information to World Diabetic Day. I'm very happy, sir. Uh, and Dr. Mohan K Rao, diabetes. I cordially welcome to our program, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, one and all. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers of Surana College for taking such an important initiative to given awareness on diabetes, such an important disease on such an important day. Today happens to be the World Diabetes Day. And as a student, you all must be aware why World Diabetes Day was celebrated. You all know that diabetes has become a common problem. You all must have heard now COVID-19 has become a pandemic, which is a communicable disease. That is, infection spread from one person to another person. But we are having a major non-communicable that doesn't spread from one person to another person, but definitely it is there, very common all over the world. That's why it is called as epidemic of diabetes or a pandemic or epidemic of non-communicable diseases, where diabetes stands first as the non-communicable disease. What is diabetes? Why World Diabetes Day is celebrated today? Today happens to be the 14th November, the birthday of one of the famous pioneer scientists, Dr. Frederick Banting, who is a Canadian physician who discovered insulin exactly 100 years back in the centenary of the insulin discovery. Once the insulin was discovered, that changed the lives of the people, saved millions of lives, especially the type 1 diabetes, who lives depends on insulin. So we are celebrating the centenary of that. On the mark of the discovery of the greatest discovery, one of the greatest discovery of all time, insulin, his birthday is celebrated as the World Diabetes Day. So just to keep an awareness, International Diabetes Federation and American Diabetes Association decided to celebrate as one day as a World Diabetes Day, just to keep an awareness, awareness among the public how important the disease is, what is this disease is all about, and how can we prevent it, and all these things I will be talking about in next 10 or 15 minutes. Diabetes, as all you know, is a chronic disease. That is, disease lasts for a long time, and it's a chronic disease. In Kannada, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಧುಮೇಹ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. I will be talking both in Kannada and English so that it would benefit people who could understand only Kannada. So diabetes and madhumeha andre ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿಲಿ ಬ್ಲಡ್ಡಿನ ರಕ್ತ ಅಂಶ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಾಗ, that means the rise in the blood sugar values is called as diabetes. You all know we eat mainly 3 types of food for our energy purpose. One is carbohydrate, that is rice, wheat, ragi, anna ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ರಾಗಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅವೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಕಾರ್ಬೋಹೈಡ್ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಫ್ಯಾಟ್, ಆಯಿಲಿ ಐಟಮ್ ವಿ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್, ಅವರ್ ಬಾಡಿ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಮಸಲ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕು. We do get all these things from varieties of food. We get carbohydrates from rice, wheat and ragi, fat from the oil sources, andre ಎಣ್ಣೆ ಪದಾರ್ಥದಿಂದ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, proteins from the animal or vegetable protein. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ ಅಂಶ ನಮ್ದ ಅನಿಮಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ ವೆಜಿಟೇಬಲ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ನಮಗೆ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದಾಲ್ ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ದಾಲ್ಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲೂ ಪ್ರೋಟೀನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So these are the major sources of nutrition to our body. ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿಲಿರೋ ಕಾರ್ಬೋಹೈಡ್ರೇಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರಕ್ತದ ಅಂಶ, ಅದು ಕಾರ್ಬೋಹೈಡ್ರೇಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು, ಕಾರ್ಬೋಹೈಡ್ರೇಟ್ ಆದ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಇಂಟೆಸ್ಟೈನ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಅದು ನಮಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಶುಗರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಎಂಟರ್ ಎವ್ರಿ ಸೆಲ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಬಾಡಿ. Why? Because every cell requires energy. Glucose is the principal source of energy. For glucose to enter from inside the blood to the cell, we require insulin. If there is no insulin, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಸುಲಿನ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಒಂದು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ವಸ್ತು, ಅದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬರುತ್ತೆ? ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಟಮಕ್, ನಮ್ಮ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆಯಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ದ ಅಬ್ಡಮನ್, ಬಿಹೈಂಡ್ ದ ಸ್ಟಮಕ್ ಒಂದು ಪ್ಯಾಂಕ್ರಿಯಾಸ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರಂಥಿ ಅಥವಾ ಗ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಎಂಡೋಕ್ರೈನ್ ಗ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ದಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸಸ್ ಇನ್ಸುಲಿನ್. ಇನ್ಸುಲಿನ್ ಅಂದ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ವಸ್ತುನ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಇನ್ಸುಲಿನ್ ಎಂಟರ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್. ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ವಸ್ತು ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಂಟರ್. ದಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ helps in the entry of the sugar from outside the cell, that is from the blood to inside the cell. So in the absence of insulin, or insulin is there but insulin is not acting, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ವಸ್ತು ಇನ್ಸುಲಿನ್ ಅಂತ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ಪ್ಯಾಂಕ್ರಿಯಾಸ್ ಗ್ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿ ಆದ್ರೂ ಅದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಟ್ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ದಟ್ ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಸೆಲ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಗ್ಲೂಕೋಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಎಂಟರ್ inside the cell, inside your heart muscle cell, inside your skeletal muscle cell, inside the brain cell. It will not be able to enter inside the liver cell. Because of that, the blood sugar goes up. So the high blood sugar, we call it as diabetes. That means the sugar is there but is not able to enter inside the cell. The blood sugar goes up. That high blood sugar is not good for the body. Once the blood sugar level, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಶುಗರ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕ ವಸ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಡಿಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದಾಗ ಅದು ಕೆಲವು ದುಷ್ಪರಿಣಾಮಗಳು ಉಂಟು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Some certain complications happen. It mainly affects the blood vessels, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರಕ್ತನಾಳಗಳನ್ನ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ರಕ್ತನಾಳಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಆರ್ಗನ್ಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಒನ್, ದ ರೆಟಿನಾ ಸಫರ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪೀಪಲ್ ವಿತ್ ಡಯಾಬಿಟಿಸ್ ಸಫರ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ರೆಟಿನೋಪತಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ವಿಷನ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಕಡೆಗೆ ವಿಷನ್ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಪೀಪಲ್ ವಿತ್ ರಕ್ತನಾಳಗಳು ಕಿಡ್ನಿಲ್ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆದಾಗ ನೆಫ್ರೋಪತಿ, we call it as a renal disease. Diabetic nephropathy is the commonest cause of the renal disease requiring kidney transplant. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರ ಮೂತ್ರಪಿಂಡದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. ಡಯಾಬಿಟಿಸ್ ಇಂದ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಅದರಿಂದ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸ್ಟ್ರೋಕ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಕಾಲಿಂದಲ್ಲಿ ರಕ್ತ ನರಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಅಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಸರ್ಕ್ಯುಲೇಷನ್ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಕಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ಯಾಂಗ್ರೀನ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು. The gangrene of the feet can happen. Circulation in the feet comes down. Excuse me? Any question? So circulation can affect it and leads to the gangrene of the feet. They may require amputation. So because of the diabetes, are at a higher risk of getting eye problem, kidney problem, heart problem, stroke problem, foot infection, and varieties of other infections, including viral infections like COVID, they are at a higher risk. They are at a 2 to 3 times at a higher risk of heart attack, stroke, and other nerves problems, kidney problems, and eye problems. That's why we need to control the blood sugar. So what is the normal blood sugar value where we are at safe? Normally, when you do the blood sugar, we do it as fasting. That means Kali hotel idaga. Normally, it should be between 70 to 100. After food should be between 100 to 140. Blood sugar goes above 126, fasting. After food above 200, then we call it as diabetes. ಅಥವಾ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಮಧುಮೇಹ ರೋಗ ಇದೆ. Fasting blood sugar 100 to 125, 100ರಿಂದ 125. After food 140ರಿಂದ 199, ಅಂದ್ರೆ 140 to 199, we call them as having a pre-diabetes. ಅಂದ್ರೆ diabetes ಮಧುಮೇಹ ಬರೋಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ pre-diabetes ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. So normal blood sugar fasting should be less than 100, ಅಂದ್ರೆ 100ರಿಂದ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇರಬೇಕು. After food 140ಗಿಂತ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಡಯಾಬಿಟಿಸ್ ಇರೋರಿಗೆ ಖಾಲಿ ಹೊಟ್ಟೆಲಿ above 126 ಇರುತ್ತೆ. After food above 200 ಇದೆ. In between we call it as a pre-diabetes. Then why nowadays the diabetes is very common, especially in India? Roughly in the world, there are around 563 million people are suffering from diabetes. In India alone, nearly 80 million people, 8 crore people are suffering from diabetes. India is also called the diabetes capital of the world because every 1 in 5 individuals in the world is an Indian, at a higher risk of getting. Urban Indians are at a higher risk compared to the rural Indians. Roughly around 10 to 15% of the urban Indians are at a risk of getting diabetes, whereas in the rural areas, around 6 to 7% are at a high risk of getting diabetes. In India, not only compared to the Western world, diabetes is common, but also the youngsters are getting it. Usually the Western world, diabetes is common in the 6th and 7th decade of life, whereas in India, we are seeing between 4 to 6 and as early as in the 30 to 40 years of age. Why is this so? Because our genes are a little bit different compared to the Caucasians. More than that, we are not following the healthy lifestyle. We are eating a Western diet, that is pizzas, burgers, all rich in calories, all high in fatty calories. So with our genetic problem, with this high amount of calorie intake, high fat intake, high fried food intake, high sweet intake, all this, and lack of exercise, very, very important. Along with that, huge stress. There is a huge peer competition. Everyone wants to own a house when they are, as soon as they join the job. Everyone wants to achieve certain things. Everyone wants to be a doctor or engineer or some other professional. Because of this peer pressure, there is a huge amount of stress. You know, all these stress hormones are not good for the sugar. They all act against the insulin hormone. They raise the blood sugar. Because of these high stress, high carbohydrate fat intake, lack of exercise, and also the environmental pollution is also very, very important that affects our endocrine system. Because of these, the Indians are getting at a higher risk of diabetes, and they are also the diabetes is coming at a very younger age group because these are the most trusted population. They are becoming more obese. They are not using a car to go even to a short distances because there is no exercises. Nobody is doing exercise properly, walking properly. There is no healthy lifestyle. The smoking, alcohol, all these things affects the prevalence of diabetes in the general population. And once you have the diabetes, how do you check it? So preferably as per the guidelines, as per the American Diabetes Association guidelines, every Asian who is obese or overweight should get a sugar check done, or after 40 years of age should get their blood sugar check done at least once a year, fasting blood sugar and postprandial blood sugar. And one more test we call it as the HbA1c that gives you the 3 months average sugar. They should get it done every year after 40 years of age. Or people earlier, if they have a family history of diabetes, if their parents are diabetic, if another sibling is a diabetic, they should get the blood sugar done. If the pregnant lady is diabetic, or if she had given birth to a large babies, they also should get the routine in the check. If you are overweight or obese, if you feel that you are too stressful, you have to get the sugar done. So once you go to the doctor, they will check your fasting blood sugar, they will check your postprandial blood sugar, they will check your HbA1c. Depending on that, they will tell you you are either normal or you are having pre-diabetes or you are in diabetes. They will assess your risk. They will check your height, they will check your weight, they will check your blood pressure. Once you know that, then you can treat this disease. You cannot cure diabetes. Nowadays, we are talking about reversal of diabetes. Definitely, we can reverse it. That means you can reverse from a pre-diabetic stage to a normal stage and from a diabetic stage to a pre-diabetic stage. How can we control this disease, such a common disease? It is not only sugar which is important. Diabetics are also at higher risk of getting higher blood pressure. That means hypertension. They are also getting a higher cholesterol level. They tend to have all these things also affect the heart, kidneys, and the brain, which are not good. The cholesterol is not good for the brain and the heart. The blood pressure is not good for the brain and the heart. So if they have two together, then the risk of getting heart problem, brain problem, they are all very high. So what you should do is to, first thing is diabetes is a lifestyle disease. I told you this genetics, Asians at a higher risk. So you cannot change the genes. You are born as an Asian. You can't change your parents. No. What you can do is you can change your lifestyle. So what is a simple lifestyle I will advise you is just follow a healthy lifestyle. Eat a diet which is low in carbohydrate, especially the sweet, the direct sweet. You avoid those direct sweets, low in carbohydrate, low in fat, especially animal fat, you reduce. Eat fat only what is required. Your total calories should be less, the fat should come from less than 30%. So whatever you require for the oil, for voggarne or for frying purpose, use it. Don't use any fried items like vadas, like pastries. Don't use that one. Use a protein. Vegetable proteins is better than the animal. In case you use animal protein, use a lean meat like chicken and fish is okay, not red meat like pork or a beef. That should be avoided. So eat less what is required. Don't eat too much. Require what is calorie intake, average calorie intake for the person. You go to the dietitian or to any doctor, they will tell you how much of calories you require. Eat that much only. So don't eat unnecessary sweet. Even if you're not diabetic, don't eat unnecessarily sweet. Only on birthdays and others you can eat it. Along with that, exercise regularly. Minimum 30 to 40 minutes of brisk walking, at least 5 days a week is good enough. You don't have to go to the gym and get into problem without a trainer. The best thing is brisk walking on a flat road for 30 to 40 minutes, at least 5 days a week is good. If you are a smoker, stop it now itself. Smoking and diabetes doesn't go together. Limit the alcohol intake. And then manage your stress by meditation and yoga, at least 10 to 20 minutes a day. And achieve only as far as your brain can withstand. Don't unnecessarily get into the too stressful mode. With these simple techniques, we can almost prevent you becoming diabetes. You can control your weight. At least you make your 10 to 15% weight loss. If you maintain, you can almost reverse the diabetes or prevent the diabetes coming from. In case still the blood sugar goes high, then you can check with the doctor. They will check your eyes, heart, kidney, and everything. They check your blood sugar, they check your cholesterol, and then give appropriate treatment. Once you are diagnosed with diabetes, take your medications properly. Very, very, very important. And then follow the doctor's guidelines. Meet the doctor, not once in a year or once in 2 years. Meet them as and when the doctor asks you, every 3 months or every 6 months. And if you maintain your blood sugar less than, fasting less than 140, after food less than 160, HbA1c less than 7%, even if you have diabetes, don't get scared. You can prevent eye complication, you can prevent kidney complication, you can prevent heart complication, you can prevent stroke. So you can lead a healthy lifestyle. And also, I forgot to tell you, I will tell you there are mainly two types of diabetes. There is type 1 diabetes, and which is only 5%. 95 to 95% is type 2 diabetes. That is, insulin is not there, but insulin is there, is not acting well. Whereas in type 1 diabetes, the body pancreas is not at all producing insulin. Usually it is seen in children less than 15 to 20 years of age, and they require only insulin for their lifelong. This type 1 diabetes are also called as insulin dependent. They require lifelong to insulin only because their body is not producing insulin. Whereas patient with type 2 diabetes initially can be managed only with the lifestyle and with medication for some time. Only if the blood sugar doesn't come under, we give them the insulin. With this, I end my talk. If there is anything, you can ask me questions. Thank you very much. Thanks for your patient hearing.
Yeah. Thank you, sir, for the informative and interesting session. Now there will be the question answer session, sir, where our volunteer will unmute and ask the question. I would request all our volunteers to unmute and ask the question to sir one by one, please.
My pleasure, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, if it is a sugar free, can I eat as much as I want?
Okay, that's a very good question. And there is a lot of misconception about the artificial sweetness actually. Artificial sweetness means there are sweetness which taste like sweet, but they are not sugar. I told you, our body, for a sugar to be used by our body, you require insulin. Whereas all these artificial sweetness, either saccharin, they're all either amino acids. Body doesn't require insulin for it to be metabolized, like fructose. They can be digested our body. That's why the artificial sweetness are recommended in diabetes. But the quantity used is very, very important. Don't use excess of artificial sweetness. Only recommended is around 1 to 2 tablets. In case if you are not, if you are so addicted to that sweet taste, you can use it, but to a limited extent, because all these products made out of artificial sweetener, they are only doesn't have a sugar, but they do have fats and proteins, other calorie content. So they all add to that one. That's why I do not normally recommend. Usually, I don't advise. I tell them to avoid artificial sweetness. In case if they don't can't it, use in a very minimal quantity, and I preferably avoid all artificial sweeteners like sweet made out of artificial sweetness or bakery items made out of that or any dish made out of, because they do contain other carbohydrates, they do contain other fats and protein. They all add to the calories and they may not help in your sugar control. The only thing is if limited quantity. Instead of adding a sugar, you can add because that is low in calories and that doesn't require for it to be metabolized. So 1 or 2 tablets at a time of serving, maybe 2 to 3 times in a day. That's all I recommend. I usually don't recommend even anything made out of artificial sweetness because they do contain other substances that may increase your calories.
Hello.
Yeah.
Vaishnavi Vibhat.
Yes.
My question is, what health problems does diabetes cause?
As already told you, diabetes damages the blood supply and the the organism. Blood vessels affect the blood vessels supplying the eyes, leading to retinopathy, leading to blindness or loss of vision over a period of time. It affects the blood supplying the kidney, causing nephropathy, leading to renal failure. Ultimately, they may require a kidney transplant. It can affect the blood supplying the feet, leading to amputation, to gangrene and all. It can also affect the heart, leading to heart attack, heart failure. It can also affect the brain, leading to strokes. So these are the things it can come with. And diabetics are also high risk of getting infections, all viral infections, including COVID, all bacterial infections, and they are at higher risk of it because the immunity gets affected because of high blood sugar. So they are at higher risk of getting. Even diabetes are also higher risk of because they are also obese, they are at higher risk of getting some cancers also. So all these things are the complications of diabetes.
Hello.
Hello, yes.
Myself Diksha. What
Tell me,
can I
tell me,
eat
Diksha.
if I have diabetes?
Very good question. So I already told you in the diet, what you have to do is a simple diet, whether you're diabetic or not diabetic. That's why it is not called as a diabetic diet or a hypertensive diet or a hard diet. I call it as a healthy diet. Whoever wants to be healthy, irrespective of the age, maybe as young as a 25, whoever wants to be healthy, whether diabetic or not, they should eat this healthy diet, what I'm telling you now, that is low in carbohydrate. That means your carbohydrate supplies suppose your daily requirement is say, doctor say 1300 kilocalories, only 40% should come from carbohydrate, not beyond that. That is from the rice, wheat and ragi. Don't eat too much of sweet. Avoid sweet, except on birthdays and occasions. Avoid sweets totally. Anything made out of sweets, like anything made out of free sugar should be avoided. All free sugar, anything made out of free sugar like sweet, and all these things should be avoided. And fat should be avoided. You do not eat saturated fat. Saturated fat means the fat which are solid at room like butter, cheese, ghee. Avoid that one. Unsaturated fat like oily fat like canola oil, mustard oil, olive oil, they are okay. But that also do not fry an oil. If you fry an oil, even a good oil becomes a bad oil. So use less quantities of fried items like vadas, masala dosas, like all these bakery items, all the fried items, you avoid it. Use oil only what is required for your vᴏʟʟᴅ purpose. That's all. For your sorting purpose. And eat a vegetable protein. And occasionally red lean meat like chicken, fish is okay. and use the only what is required. Don't eat extra calories. Don't go on stuff yourself. So eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the proper time. Eat equal distribution, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Use only what is what is enough for your. Don't eat extra calories. So these are the things you can avoid. Avoid free sugar, avoid saturated fat, and animal fat and protein fat is better. These are the things you should eat.
Sir, like any
All
fruits,
fruits are allowed. All fruits are allowed. No problem. Unless you have a kidney problem, all fruits are okay. Dry fruits also is very good. Badam, pista, walnut, they are unsaturated fat. On about 30 grams of dry fruits is good. And any one fruit or two fruit and three types of vegetables. One green leafy vegetable is good for the. It also supply vitamin, mineral. Is good for your body.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Anushri here.
Yeah. Tell me,
Why is
Anushri.
World Diabetics Day celebrated particularly on this day, sir?
Yeah, I already told you, I think you missed my, this today is celebrated as the birthday of one of the famous scientists who discovered insulin in 1921, who 1922 got the Nobel Prize, Frederick Banting. His birthday on his commemoration because insulin turned out to be one of the major discoveries of all time, along with the DNA of the all-time discoveries, because that changed the life, you are able to treat because of that, and especially in type 1 diabetes, millions of lives are saved. So on to commemorate the discovery of insulin and to honor his discovery, his birthday, Dr. Frederick Banting's birthday, is celebrated as World Diabetes Day.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Dada Saheb, sir. Sir, how
Yeah.
often we check the normal like sugar blood cells, and how can we figure out that our sugar blood cells are high, low, and normal, sir?
Okay. If you have any doubt, or if you are any of the family members having diabetes, first thing you should do is you don't live in any panic. Just go to the any laboratory, go in a fasting. At least minimum 8 hours of fasting should be there. Don't do night duties and go to the fasting. No. At least minimum 8 hours, maximum 14 hours. Just because you are fasting, you cannot go at 2 o'clock. So that means have your dinner the last 10 o'clock. Have your usual dinner. Don't have a buffet dinner and regular dinner. Next day morning at 8 o'clock, that means after 8 to 10 hours fasting, go to the laboratory in fasting. That means only water is allowed, no tea, coffee, or anything. Give the blood, then have your regular breakfast. Then 2 hours later, give the blood test. So you do the fasting blood sugar, they do it, and they do it 2 hours after that, they do the blood test. So the blood sugar fasting is less than 100. After food, less than 140. Your blood sugar is normal. It is more than 126 fasting, more than 200 postprandial after food, that is you are having diabetes. In between, it is a pre-diabetes stage. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. Hello. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah. Tell me, I'm with you.
My question is, it is said that diabetes are more common in males, and why?
That's a myth actually. Diabetes is equally common in both men and women equally. Some complications are maybe more in the men, like heart complications are more because of the other hormonal problems. But the estrogen is protected in females, especially premenopausal. But diabetes is considered is equal in both male and female.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah,
Good
anything else?
afternoon, sir. This is Sahana.
Yes. Yes,
My
Sadhana,
question is, why is diabetes becoming more common in youngsters nowadays?
yeah, that's a good question. I already answered this because youngsters now are not what is protein, the lifestyle they are managing. The genes are the same, whether you are young or old. All Indians have the same gene. I don't think as the age advances, you're going to change your gene. But what is changing is your lifestyle. So our youngsters are not having a healthy lifestyle where our ancestors used to follow. That means you're not following a routine exercise. Everybody is going on a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler. Even for a short distance, there is no physical activity. We are all addicted to different types of food, and the food is served in the most delicious way, and the way it has been advertised, and we are all addicted to this high carbohydrate, high fat diet. So all these pizzas, burgers, all these things is not good for you. So you are eating instead of homemade, rich in vegetables and protein, you are eating more high in carbohydrate and fat, which unfortunately is very tasty and is addicting as well. And also the excess stress is involved. The youngsters are at a higher risk of stress because of the peer competition, trying to achieve too early, too fast. Along with these things and our environment pollution, because you're all traveling outside on a two-wheeler, the environmental dust, the pollution, all these things they're using also added to the burden the youngster at higher risk. Because of these, the youngsters are getting a diabetes and other heart problems at a much younger age group than otherwise. Because
Thank you, sir.
unhealthy lifestyle and the smoking, and then the alcohol, all these things are also an additional problem. Yes.
Excuse me, sir. My question is, does diabetes particularly come from consuming more sugar?
Okay, that's a good question, actually. In fact, earlier we used to doubt by eating sugar, can we get diabetes? Actually, nowadays, the things are changing. If you just eat sugar alone, if you don't have any genetic problem, genetic tendency is not there. So you are not one of those Asian race or Ashkenazi Jewish race where the genetically they are at a higher risk. One of those low, genetically low at a risk, or you are maintaining a very healthy lifestyle. You are able to exercise regularly. All these, or you don't have any family history. So in them, eating high sugar, you are able to digest it, and you may not get diabetes. But people who are having a genetic risk factor, in fact, most of the worlds are at higher risk of getting diabetes. So in the background of these genes, if you are eating a high sugar, the sugar will stimulate the pancreas to produce insulin. But if you eat more and more sugar than the body requires, the extra sugar is converted to fat and stored as fat. It is not because our adipose tissue, the fat cell contains basically the fat. So that comes by eating a fatty foods like butter, cheese, ghee, oily products. But you also know that our body has a system of generating fat from carbohydrate also, like high sugar. If we eat more than the sugar, our body is a source of immediate energy, use the sugar for you to run and everything. Extra sugar is converted to fat and stored as the fat. That fat, you become obese. Once you become, your chances of becoming diabetic is higher. So indirectly, high sugar is contributing to the diabetes, right? Because you are going to become more and more obese. Because 80% of the diabetics are obese, and 80% obesity people will go on to diabetes. So that way, it is not good to eat very high sugar. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Right.
Now, thank you so much for sir for answering all our question patiently and giving us about the knowledge. Now, I would like to invite our volunteer Diksha for a vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would maintain that thanks and highest form of thoughts, and that gratitude is happiness doubled by wonder. It's my privilege to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of NSS Unit, Surana College. I would like to extend my heartful gratitude for today's resource person, Dr. Mohan K Rao, sir, for informative and interesting session. Thank you, sir. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude for the degree principal Dr. M.R. Bhavani ma'am for gracing the occasion with your presence. Thank you, ma'am. I would like to extend deep sense of gratitude for the Assistant Professor of Economic Department and NSS Program Officer Girish K. Sir for the guidance and which led to the better outcome of the program. Thank you, sir. Last but not the least, I take extreme pleasure to thank all the volunteers who were with us for making this event successful and memorable. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I thank each and everyone. Excellent question. So for taking an initiative, thanks Surana College, NSS Division. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. And
thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Now,
Thank you, sir.
request
Hope it was a
Girish
useful
sir to
session.
speak a few words for presidential address.
I am very happy that today we are giving awareness program for all the volunteers, and we possible to reach this message to other students also. And the intention of this program to spread the message of why diabetic is coming and what precaution we can make. So I am very happy that Mohan sir has given lot of in detail and insight about the diabetic, and if I suggest, if anybody has any problem, I suggest to the doctor to consult and take care of these problems. So we avoid before coming the diseases. That's generally in NSS we do this. Whatever the possibility of taking precaution from the student life itself, so that we do the service through the NSS, and the college is initiated and NSS is initiated to do this type of our awareness program and health awareness program. Generally many programs we do. So this is a type of plan we done, because diabetic also become recent. Everybody is getting this disease. So we planned that we create an awareness about this diabetic. So by this, I'll end my talk. And I thank Mohan Rao sir by just inviting very short time. He accepted our invite and given awareness to about diabetic things. So thank you very much, sir, from our college side and from NSS. I'm just thank you once again. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
And I hope,
Please keep up the good work. Excellent work you are all doing. Very good
yes.
initiative. Good luck to each of you. And
Sir,
I'm always
please
there
receive,
for
yes,
any of these type of events.
yes, sir.
It's my
Please
duty
take an,
and
yes, sir, yes, sir. We have some token of appreciation. So please receive that memento from our college side.
sir, because it's a
That's
voluntary work.
volunteers
Please,
here. So it is our just honor, sir, from our college side.
honor, sir.
Please receive that even, because due to some reason I have not came personally, but my volunteers have come there. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invite.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My pleasure. Good day.
Thank you, sir, for your very cordial and encouraging words.
You disconnected,
Now,
right?
I would like to sign off the session. I am Dādāsāheb Kallanagowda Patil, a second year BA HEP student, is signing off the session. Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.